Welcome to New Stripe City, a YouTube channel for diehard Bengals fans. I'm your host, Ace Boogie. Appreciate you guys and welcome to Q&Ace. What this is I generally answer questions from fans. I like to bring you guys in there. I have an invite link that I actually have queued up here right there. You can join me live and ask me questions on air. If you're new here, New Stripe City, what we do here is we talk everything Bengals from the draft to player interviews. We also have the Orange is the New Black podcast that is on here with myself and Zem Hude. We also have Q&Ace. We also have some special interviews like the one dropping tomorrow with Vach Lombardi, who's coming on to New Stripe City to discuss a lot of these draft prospects. So if you haven't checked out the content, please be sure to do that. We also have Cut the Tape on where we go in and look at the draft prospects as well and just Bengals in general. But we kick this off, and if you're here and you haven't seen the invite link, be sure to check that out. We already got some people popping in. We got my man G that just popped in. Don't hesitate to jump in. And if you want other questions answered, be sure to leave super chats if you want. You don't have to. I would love for you guys to come in. But we'll go ahead and get into it. We're going to bring my man G in. G, what's going on, bro? Oh, looks like G left out. All right. So someone asked, who do you think will be the next player interview? I think, Nate, are you talking specifically about just Orange is the New Black interviews or just interviews in general in terms of the next player? Because we got some things in the works. We've already talked to a couple of players. Me and Zem are already connected with a bunch of players. So we'll see what happens. But if I had to name who would be the next player for an interview, I don't know. We'll have to see. I don't want to drop any spoilers or anything like that, but that would be dope. My man Steven just hopped in. Steven, what's going on, bro?
Yo, what's good?
What's good, man? Still smoking on that Team Chase pack, or what you doing?
Hell yeah, man. Just chilling. I've been thinking about the draft a lot recently. I think I've seen a lot of reports about Ja'Marr Chase and stuff, and I think it's pretty safe to say that Ja'Marr Chase is pretty locked in as the number 5 pick. I think it's
Facts.
Foregone conclusion already. Not
Facts.
necessarily what I want, but, it's not really anything I can control. I'm not complaining by any means. He's the best receiver.
Right. No, I'm with you. We were never really complaining. I think I heard a lot of people say, like, people that were Team Soul hated Chase, and that's never been the case. I don't know.
Yeah.
And if you were saying that, right, like me personally, and it came up on the show, and I was so glad Matt Minnick said it, because I remember I got killed on Twitter just for saying that it was close between Ja'Marr Chase and Devonta Smith. And like after I reviewed the film personally, I felt like Devonta Smith was the better receiver, but you still don't hear me sitting here saying I'd take Devonta Smith over Penei Sewell. It's just the receiver itself. It has nothing to do with Ja'Marr Chase. He's a talented kid. All of the receivers, like, honestly, if you were to ask me, I love all three of them. I love Ja'Marr Chase. I love Devonta Smith. I love Jalen Waddle. All three of those guys are talented. It's just simply for me and the Bengals right now, I think the better pick is Penei Sewell in terms of what he could bring to this team and what he could provide for protection. But like you said, it's pretty much a foregone conclusion at this point that Chase is going to be the pick. And I said this from day one, like when we first, before this was even really a debate, I remember sitting on the Orange is the New Black podcast and telling them, I'm like, yo, if Joe Burrow says he wants Chase, he's going to get Chase. So it just is what it is when it comes to that. I can't hear you, bro. You're on mute. Okay, so Steven's going to come back, but we have some other questions in here. Will I do a mock draft? I actually am going to do a mock draft. I've been working on Prime. For those who know me, Prime is something that I do where I look at all of the characteristics of players that the Bengals have drafted in the history, and then I pretty much compile a list based off of that. So literally when I do a mock draft, it's based off of that list. And so I'm working through it. I just released the receivers. I think it was this weekend. I'll try to work through this week to release more of them. Obviously, the draft is nearing the end here. But obviously, the first pick is going to be Ja'Marr Chase. I mean, it's not a surprise. It's no secret. So, I can do a mock draft, but we kind of know which direction it's going to be headed into. We got another question here. Justin Willis says, Ace, do you think that the coaching staff will want to take Chase at number 5 because Zach Taylor's and ultimately the coaching staff's job may be on the line, and this pick will yield more offensive production. For me, it's hard to say that, bro. Like, you can say that as a wide receiver, but it doesn't yield direct offensive production from the running game standpoint. Like, Penei Sewell does that for both when you're talking about the passing and run game. But are they picking him just because it's Zach Taylor's job on the line? No, I don't think so. I think it's because you give Joe Burrow, who is the franchise, what he wants. And if Joe Burrow wants a Jamar Chase and he's saying to pick him over another guy, I think that that's what they're going to do. So I don't think it has to do – I think like either guy that you pick, I don't think that it's like, oh, we're not going to score as many points with Penei Sewell, because he's going to make Joe Mixon better. And he's going to make Joe Burrow have enough time to stand in the pocket for however long he really wants to. So I think it's hard to say. Yes, Jamar Chase, obviously, if you're just completely passing the ball in 2021, obviously he's going to make more sense than Penei Sewell if that's what you're trying to do. But I don't think that is really like this is Zach's job on the line. That's why he's picking that, because honestly, I think if that were the case, you probably see him picking an offensive lineman, because if Joe Burrow gets hurt again, period, I think that that's his job. So I actually think that the person that he would have to pick to do that would be them. Lashane Thomas says, should we go after Sheldon Richardson? Sure. I mean, why not? We'll see what he has to offer. I mean, he is 30 years old, but we'll have to see what he's going to be about. But we got two people in the chat. We got my man Landon. And we got my man Steven. So I'm going to hop back into Steven real quick, and then we'll go to my man Landon. Steven, what's up, bro? You were saying something?
Sorry about that. Someone was calling me, and it kind of messed everything up. So,
all good.
What I was trying to say is that I've seen a lot of Jamar people talk about how we should take, Jamar is the best player available at pick number 5. And that's just, in my opinion, I just simply don't agree with that. I really do think that if you're really trying to talk about BPA at number 5, then I think Kyle Pitts.
Yeah.
And then I actually think Penei Sewell after that, and then Jamar Chase, because I think both of them have a higher ceiling than Jamar Chase. Because I think we have all seen Penei Sewell. I mean, we've seen Anthony Munoz comparison. We've even seen Anthony Munoz get hail praise on Penei Sewell himself, and he actually said that we should pick him. And I think Kyle Pitts has the potential to be an all-world tight end, receiving-wise.
Right. No, I'm with you. Like, this is how I really view it, because I think people get some things misconstrued. I view all of these guys, and I think from the research that I've done, Penei Sewell has been like in the top 3 prospects that I've seen, right? And we're just talking about overall. I view all of them, and I've told them this off the air, I view all of them as elite prospects. There's 3 of them. There's Penei Sewell, there's Jamar Chase, and then there's Kyle Pitts. For me personally, the fact that Penei Sewell meets a need, immediate and future, as well as a third need in terms of protecting Joe Burrow, and is this elite prospect that you don't normally see when you talk about the athleticism, the size, the fact that the man won the Outland Trophy at 20 years old. I mean, he's young. There's so many things that you could say about him. You could say the same thing about Kyle Pitts. You've never seen a tight end that's giving you that production, that has the profile that he has, that's able to really go against not only just linebackers, he's dominated against SEC cornerbacks as well, just like Jamar Chase. Then you talk about Jamar Chase, who also had one of the craziest production years at 19 years old with Joe Burrow. He also has the chemistry. So all 3 guys are good to me. But like you said, like I've always been Penei, Pitts, and then Chase. And there's like, to me, I'm not mad if I get either one. But the middle ground for me was always Kyle Pitts, because not only does he give you a weapon in the passing game, but it also affects how defenses can play you. And I'm not saying that you can't do that with Chase, but when I say that, I mean, when he lines up at tight end, linebackers cannot blitz. Like, you can't take T. Higgins, Chase, or any of those guys and line them up at tight end. And, that's just not going to happen. But you can do that with Kyle Pitts, which is going to take away linebackers blitzing. And if you ask me, why is linebackers blitzing important? Just look at the Ravens game. That's what they did the entire game. If we were to play the Ravens, they would not be able to do that. And if you do send a blitz and it comes from a corner a safety or a linebacker, you know what? His hot read and his first read is Kyle Pitts, and somebody's going to struggle with that. So for all three of those guys, I think that they're all elite prospects. I think that since we've gotten pitted on different sides, a lot of people are trying to downplay each player. I think they're all three elite prospects, and I don't think that you go wrong in either direction that you go into.
Yeah, and another thing is Panay Sewell has been training to play right tackle. If you haven't seen like the stuff on the reports about it, he has been training.
And I was gonna say that. So like a couple months ago, I had known that he was training at different spots. I had heard through the grapevine that he preferred to play left tackle. That was one of the reasons he wanted to come to the Bengals. Now this was before free agency. That was one of his big reasons for wanting to play with us instead of the Jets. But he still, and I heard at that time, he still was training to play right tackle just in case. So when that came out, that just kind of essentially backed up what I had heard months ago from his camp. And when I said it, I was like, he kind of prefers to play this. And people were like, oh, well, how do you know Jonah doesn't want to play left tackle? And it was nothing about that for me. It was just, this is what I heard from Panay and one of the reasons that he wanted to play for us. But yeah,
I don't think Jonah is made to play left tackle. I'm just gonna say that now. I don't think he's made to play left tackle. I don't think he can do that. I think he's either guard or right tackle. That's just that, in my opinion. I don't think, to be honest, I think we should move him to guard because I don't think he just, he just doesn't really fit the profile. He's just not athletic enough to play left tackle. I mean, we can't put him out there against Myles Garrett, Calais Campbell, TJ Watt, and expect it to go well.
Right.
I don't know how you see it. Like, in my opinion, for the Jamar Chase people, I don't see how you can take Alex Leatherwood and expect him to be like that much of an upgrade over Bobby Hart. I'm just gonna say that now. I don't even know if he's gonna be an upgrade over Bobby Hart. To be honest, I think he's maybe a slightly better Bobby Hart. I don't think he's a guy we could just throw out there week in, week out against.
And I get it. I think
in the league.
I think most people are going to try to play Leatherwood at guard, just personally. I think they're going to try to play him at left guard or right guard, whichever one that you play him at. But the issue for me is, had they signed Riley Reef, in my opinion, to a 2-3 year deal, I'm not worried about it. I'm like, go ahead and get Chase, right? But the fact that they only signed him to 1 year means that it's almost like a Band-Aid. Like, if, say for instance, and I'm not trying to bring any fear tactics, this is just the NFL. This happens all the time. Say he gets hurt or something like that, and they decide to move on from him. Or the fact that he's 33, going to be 34 next year. We saw what they did to Witt. It's not a guarantee to me because they didn't sign him to a 2-year deal at least minimum. And I'm not talking about with the phony year, because he did sign a 2-year with the phony year on the end. But if they would have given him a 2 to 3 year deal, I'm not worried about next season looking at my right tackle, because realistically, if it doesn't work out, we're back in the same boat again next year. And yeah, we might have Leatherwood, but you got to hope that he can play right tackle after playing guard this season in the league. And I feel more comfortable with doing that with a Panay. But that's just the issue for me. Like, I love Riley Reef, and people were taking it as me saying Riley Reef is trash. No, I love Riley Reef. It's just the fact that we only signed up for 1 year. And we all know with the Bengals, when players get old, they are not scared to give somebody walking papers, even if they're good or not good. They will give you your walking papers. They told Witt that he was washed, and Witt is still playing. Witt is still, a number one tackle. But Steven, I want to get to some of the other people. Was there anything that you wanted to say before you get out of here, bro?
No, not really, Houday, and everybody has a great day. Let's not try to be negative against people from either side. I've been seeing a lot of that online. Let's just try to be let's just try to be Bengals fans, not Team Jamar, not Team Panay. Let's just try to be Bengals fans.
Yeah, we all Bengals fans.
Enjoy the process, man.
All right, Steven, take care, bro.
Houday.
All right, we're going to bring my guy Landon in. Landon, what's going on, bro?
What's up, Ace?
Chilling, bro. Chilling. How you doing?
I'm all right. You?
I'm cooling, bro. Cooling. I guess I could share with the people. We just did one of the big pieces for the Ken Riley project. So that's why y'all see me with the FAMU jersey on right now. We was getting some filming in. So be on the lookout for that. We just sent some stuff over to the producer. But how you doing, bro?
I'm all right. I just had a question. How do you feel like, or do you feel like the Thaddeus Moss signing impacted the number 5 pick in any way? Because you got a lot of people that say, "Oh, it's only right to get Chase now since you got that Moss. You might as well get the band back together or whatever." But like,
I mean, I love that Thad Moss signing. I couldn't let Thad Moss, to me, really affect like whether or not I'm gonna take Kyle Pitts or not, because number one, like we've seen him at LSU, and I think that he was very, very solid at LSU. I think though the fact that he had an injury and he's had like some lingering injuries, especially with him missing his rookie year with the Washington football team, that gives me some concern. The fact that he's 6'2", I think 240. I was on the AFC North talk, and they were like, I think this dude might be a fullback. So when I'm looking at it, it really makes sense that he kind of replaces that H-back role that Ethan Carter used to have for us. I'd love to see him as a tight end, but I think with them loving CJ Uzoma, them loving Drew Sample, I think that it adds someone that can still be on the field in an H-back role with him. Would it, to me, keep me from taking Kyle Pitts? Nah, because I could see, especially with Uzoma being going after this season, only having Drew Sample next year, I could see them saying, okay, Kyle Pitts and Moss, you guys are my two tight ends if that's the case, or, Sample's the third tight end. And since the position is so weak, they pretty much have to stack bodies there. So for me, being that Kyle Pitts is such a different player, he's not really an H-back. He's not really a guy that's a generic tight end. He's a guy that you can line up on the outside. Like you could literally have them in at the same time. So for me, it wouldn't stop me from taking Kyle Pitts, but it may take me from drafting a tight end in, let's say, the 4th, 5th, 6th round. There might not be a reason for me to draft a guy like that if he has the same kind of ability that a Thad Moss will have.
Right. I mean, like, would that persuade, like, influence people to like say we might as well go Chase now?
Oh yeah, I think when you talk to Bengals fans just in general, because everybody is like really hyped off of Thad Moss just because he had that connection with Joe Burrow. We saw what he did, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think I could definitely see why people would be like, nah, we don't need a tight end now. Just me personally, like just studying the draft and knowing what Kyle Pitts can bring to the table, I would, and I'm not saying like if you take Kyle Pitts, there's no role for Moss at all. I would be honestly possibly more confident in Thad Moss, Kyle Pitts versus Drew Sample and Kyle Pitts, I guess is my best way of saying it, like next year.
Yeah, exactly. That'd be better.
But it seems like Kyle Pitts isn't even on the board. My man Malik he told me that months ago. So if you guys have noticed that I've dropped back off of Kyle Pitts like in recent months, that's why. Because he was telling me that months ago. And I'm like, bruh, like no Kyle Pitts at all. So I don't even want to even get y'all hyped up for something that might not happen.
You think he'll be gone before 5?
It's possible. I think Atlanta could take him, bro. If Atlanta doesn't take him, then I think that's a good question, because if Atlanta doesn't take him, yes, he will be on the board. Yes, he would be on the board. But Atlanta might try to trade out of there, or somebody might want Kyle Pitts and try to trade up in front of us to get him. But if Atlanta doesn't take him, then I think he would be on the board. But we've already heard, apparently, if he were on the board, and this is outside of Jamar Chase and Penei Sewell, who we know are their top 2 targets, Malik said that they would rather trade back and take a defensive player. And that was something he told me months ago. So I don't know, bro. It's kind of wild to me. And I kind of question the decision, and maybe it's just that they feel like they don't know how to use tight ends, so they couldn't use Kyle Pitts. But you can line them up at receiver, but that's neither here nor there. It's just kind of wild because everybody else in the draft is like, this dude is that guy, and it's like apparently we're not giving him any consideration at all. So it sucks. It sucks, bro. Like I love Kyle Pitts. I thought that he was like a middle ground between Team Chase and Team Sewell. I thought he was the perfect middle ground, but it seems like he's probably not even going to get consideration from us. But I do think Atlanta could take him. If Atlanta goes quarterback, then you're probably looking at like the Eagles or somebody. Like, I don't think that he's going to get out of the top 10. Like, there's no way, especially seeing how we saw tight ends from previous years that weren't even Kyle Pitts get drafted, and what we saw Travis Kelce do last year. Like, nah, somebody's taking Kyle Pitts, bro. It might not be us, but it might not be that long after us that somebody's taking.
Yeah, I just want Sewell. That's all I really want.
I do too, bro. I do too. But And that's the only thing that scares me is because Sewell, I watched his highlights and stuff like that. I see the aggression that he plays with. I see the potential there. And it's just like, man, we're going to pass on that. But hey, it is what it is. Either way, we're getting a good player. Either way, we get a good player in Jamar Chase, Penei Sewell. If they shock the world and go Kyle Pitts, I would be shocked, bro. Like that would be wild. But nah, I don't know, man. Unfortunately.
All right, bro. Appreciate you having me on.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it, Landon. Who that?
Who that?
All right, we're going to get into a super chat real quick from Rick Holly. He says, is there a free agent out there that can seriously help this offensive line? Can we afford them? Yeah, I definitely think so. I think we've all been banging the table for Trey Turner for sure. I mean, I'm not trying to talk down on any of the guards, but there's definitely guards out there in free agency right now that are better, in my opinion. I'm just a fan, bro. I'm not a coach. I'm not a scout or anything like that. But Trey Turner, I can just look at him and see that he been going to the Pro Bowl, and I know what we had last year at the guard position, and I could easily say he's better than that. So I probably say Trey Turner. I think we can afford him. Maybe they wait until the draft is over, and maybe that's part of their plan. And maybe they wait down until cut down day. But guys aren't really cutting good offensive linemen like that. But Trey Turner is out there. I think that he is serviceable. You got Larry Warford out there as well. I don't even know if Larry Warford is coming back. That's why I've stopped saying his name as much. He opted out of the season last year. I don't know if he's retiring. I know that he lives nearby apparently. So I would hope that those are two guys that you could obviously sign right there that would be better. But thanks, Rick, for that. And with that, we're going to bring in my man, Chase. Chase, what's going on, bro? You on mute, bro.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
What's up?
Chilling, bro. Mount Healthy in the house. What's good?
Yeah. So I was gonna ask you something last week because remember I forgot what I was gonna ask you, but
yeah.
Because I was having a conversation like with my friends at school one day, and like I want to hear your opinion on how the people in Cincinnati view like the Bengals or whatever, or like how they view like even like sports in general. Like, especially because if you hear like people talk that are like semi-Bengals fans or don't like the Bengals, they're like, oh, they suck or whatever. And I know you don't live in Cincinnati, if I'm correct, or if I'm wrong. So like, you live in Florida, right?
Yeah, I live in Florida. I'm from Cincinnati, though. I remember I could tell you how they used to talk about them when I was there for sure.
Yeah. So the team down with y'all is Jacksonville, right? Jacksonville or Tampa?
Tampa is closer. Like before, I used to live in North Florida, so I was closer to the Jaguars. And then you got the Dolphins. They kind of have like some fair weather fans. I'd probably say like out of all three teams down here, the closest that resonate, I'd probably say with the Bengals are kind of like the Jaguars. Like they've always had potential and shown flashes, but they have different, and they also have like the small market thing kind of going on. Bucks fans are pretty diehard, but they've been through some rough situations down here. It's crazy because they just won the Super Bowl, but before that, it was rough.
So do you hear like the fans down there like of like say like the Jaguars or the Bucks like before obviously they got Tom Brady, like do you hear them like talk like how negatively, because like down in Cincinnati, like people, man, like it's like everyone just expects like, oh, if the Bengals don't win the Super Bowl every year, it's like, I mean, me personally, I've just never been around more like negative people about something. I don't know if you can say the same for that, but
yeah, I mean, you definitely catch some of it down here because a lot of these teams down here weren't anywhere near as successful as the Bengals were, and I'm talking about just from the span of, let's just say, 2003 until now, right? Like the Buccaneers recently got very good, but before that, they struggled with getting the right coaching staffs in. They did the whole thing where they bought big money free agents. They struck out on a lot of them. I think they ended up signing Anthony Collins and Michael Johnson from us one year. They really fumbled the bag at the quarterback position for years. They thought they had something with Jameis a lot. Jameis actually made them a lot more confident. But once he had the 30 picks and it was like, we can get Brady, that just made everybody kind of forget about him. You talk about the Jaguars. The Jaguars, I think, have some of the most loyal fans, even though they don't do the best. But it's hard, though, because with the Jaguars, what I kind of caught from some of my friends that were from Jacksonville is a lot of the older folks, since they were an expansion team, they never grew up cheering for the Jaguars. So a lot of diehard Jags fans are more so younger. They're probably like 30 and younger because the older guys, they were used to cheering for like the Bucks or the Dolphins since they never had a team there. You do get some people that in Jacksonville that are somewhat negative, but not as much as probably the Bengals.
Yeah, like because it's like to me, like when I listen to people talk, and it's like they're just like always just like so negative, and I'm thinking like I always say like it's hard to win a Super Bowl. Only one team wins the Super Bowl every year. So like having the expectation for the Bengals to win the Super Bowl every year, that's not really a fair expectation. And everyone's always like everyone's been like the whole bandwagon about Mike Brown being cheap or whatever. But when Mike Brown spends money, they're like, oh well, he's a shitty owner or whatever. Or
I
mean, the Bengals, even if they don't make the playoffs, and then when we make the playoffs, it's like, oh, you got to win the game. And I guarantee you, when we go to the playoffs and win a game, it's like, oh, we got to go to the Super Bowl. So like, I feel like the fans in Cincinnati, I don't even call them fans. Like there are some diehard fans in Cincinnati, but just the people around in Cincinnati to me are just some of the most negative people I've ever been around. Even like with the Reds too, like it's just they expect the highest, and if they're not meeting the highest expectation, they're like, oh, they're shitty. I don't even want anything to do with them.
Right. I mean, you bring up a valid point. There are some fans that are pretty jaded over things that have happened for a while. Me, myself, I can probably just say this. Like, when I've been in Cincinnati, it's either been people that are diehards that support the team no matter what, or it's people that are super pessimistic, that are so frustrated that they end up like not even watching the Bengals, or they go and latch on to a second team, and they don't come back until we're doing good. Like there were a lot of people that weren't around for the early 2000s, and then in 05, all of a sudden they pulling out they Chad Johnson jerseys or their old Peter Warrick jerseys because they haven't cheered for us since then. But you got the other people that's the diehards like me. But one thing I will say is being a fan of the Bengals is not easy. And I think the Bucks fans can compare because but it's easy for them to do it because they won a Super Bowl back in 2002 or whatever. So they can always hang their hat on.
Bengals fans don't know what that feels like.
Bengals fans don't know what that feels like. Jag fans probably relate to us the most. But the thing is, they ended up almost going to the Super Bowl, what was that, 2017 or something like that.
Yeah.
So
and even in their first couple, I remember I think their first year they might have went 13 and
they went to the playoffs their very first year.
Crazy first year, yeah. They were 13 because they had Fred Taylor and Mark Brunell.
Mark Brunell, and even when they had David Garrard, I think they went to the playoffs. But I probably say the one that's closest to the negative fans will probably be the Dolphins, bro. The Dolphins are a train wreck franchise. Like they're doing good now, but they had a bunch of bad years. But I have to agree with you. There's some Bengals fans that are like that, but I'm not gonna say that they're not negative. But there's a lot of stuff, bro, that we've been through as Bengals fans. I even get flashes of Brandon, I think it was Brandon Stokely or whatever, catching that fling pass. We just had a worse luck sometimes. It's crazy. I always try to tell other fan bases, nah, you guys don't have the luck of the Bengals. It's just sometimes it just feels like there's forces against us, keeping us from doing certain things. And I think that's why it just gets people drained out. But to me, this is the wrong time to be like that. I mean, you just got Joe Burrow. You got all these weapons still. Yes, you might not believe in certain aspects about them, but the Bengals have been spending money. If you look back from 2010 on what they were doing in that situation, and even as early as 2011, things have changed, bro. There's a lot of things about the Bengals that are completely different than what was going on in the early 2000s and even the mid 2000s when we were good. There's a lot of stuff that's changed. I think a lot of people don't give Katie Blackburn enough respect. Elizabeth Blackburn, which I had heard months ago before that she was pretty much trying to change a lot of the outlook of the Bengals around, and we're seeing it happen. I think that they're trending in the right direction. And I said something like that, and somebody was like, oh, that's all you want? And I'm like, bro, I can't expect a team that just picked in the top 5. I got to be realistic at the same time. I can't expect a team that just picked 2 years in a row in the top 5 to go to the Super Bowl. I I have to give them time because before
Right.
I was trying to push, I want
Yeah.
9-7, I
Yeah.
want this and that. And it's like
Mhm.
when I sat down and joined the AFC North Talk and literally
Yeah.
had to watch the entire division, I've never done that. I've never watched the entire division's other games. I
Right.
looked at it and I'm like, I looked at myself and I had to look in the mirror and I'm like, bro,
Right.
we're just not,
Yeah.
we're not at that level
Not up to
now.
par. Yeah.
We're not at that level. And those are 3 teams that went to the playoffs last year. So that shows you exactly, you have a front row seat of what a playoff football team looks like. And so for me, that's why I think even this year, I want us to do better, but I'm okay if they win 7 to 8 games because to me, the year that they're going to go into the playoffs and really compete is going to be the next year. Because you got to remember, Joe Burrow's coming off of that knee injury, bro. He's going to have to get his mojo back. And I always think about Geno when that happened and just literally anybody. When people come off of injuries, they're not just back to being that same person. So I just try to keep the expectations level. But I'm with you, bro. There are a lot of negative Bengals fans for sure, especially that live in Cincinnati. But even when I was there, I was just like, bro, if you want to be a Steelers fan or go cheer for somebody else, go ahead. I'm not going to stop being a Bengals fan because that's my team. I'm going to ride with them until the wheels fall off. I don't care if they go 0-18. I'm still going to be rocking in. I'm still going to watch every game. I'm still going to cheer for them. I'm still going to hope that they do whatever is in the best interest of future winning for this team.
Yeah, so like you mentioned earlier about like the Bengals like not signing like free agents like this offseason, like you can even look like the Trey Hendrickson deal. Like the Bengals never spent that like in any off seasons like up to this point. Like they don't, like even like the 1 year that Trey Hendrickson got, like we never used to see that. And we used to see the Bengals, like you were talking about earlier, letting the veterans walk. I mean, the 1 year we let Mohamed Sanu, Marvin Jones, like we let all those guys walk in like 1 year, didn't make an attempt to re-sign any of them. And
well, they did try to bring Marvin Jones back, but he wanted to be the number 1 somewhere, which was it is what it is.
And I have one more question. So I was looking through like Instagram or whatever, and I was like seeing like some of these Bengals fan pages, and some there was like one fan page was trying to make an argument that Najee Harris, like if Najee Harris is there when the Bengals are in the second round, like if he's still there, like no, they were saying like should the Bengals consider taking him?
I mean, you always consider everyone, but realistically consider nah. Like not when you had Joe Mixon. I mean, Najee Harris is a beast. Don't get me wrong, but you couldn't even use Joe Mixon and Giovanni Bernard. How are you going to have enough carries for a Najee Harris? It just, I mean, you always want to consider anybody, right?
And you might make like Joe Mixon unhappy too, like if you bring in Najee.
Yeah,
Harris.
Joe Mixon's probably like, what? Yeah. Why did you take a second round running back? Like that doesn't even make sense. I hope that doesn't happen. I hope it doesn't happen. But
I was saying like to me, the Bengals should obviously they should take like BPA in the second round, but it should be like whatever like a need is, like they should take the best player on their board. If we go Panay in the first round, take the best receiver on your board. In the second round, if we take Jamar, take the best guard or tackle in the second round who's on the top of your board. So I'm not sure because I know you're a Panay guy, but I don't think.
I mean, I'm cool with Chase too. Like I think a lot of people, since I go so hard for Panay, they don't think that I'm cool with Chase. I'd say Chase, Panay, or Pitts. It don't matter to me. Either one we get is cool. I just worry that I just don't trust them when it comes to picking offensive linemen in the second round. That's the real thing that I'm worried about. And I think like Panay, if you pick the number 1 guy, nobody can even be mad at you because it's the number 1 guy. Everybody expected him to be good, but I just really like if they start feeling themselves and they get to like the second round and they pick the edge, I might lose it, bro. Like I'm gonna be live during the draft, but if they pick like an edge and they're like, all right, we're good, we could just wait until the third, fourth round.
Yeah, no, that's not gonna happen.
Whew, I hope not.
That's my thing because they've been known to do that in the past. Like they've been like complacent, they're like, okay, well, this guy's here, but They if we go receiver first round, we got to go guard or tackle in the second round. Whether like any of the guys like Creed Humphrey, Wyatt Davis, any of those guys, Leatherwood. If any of those guys are there in the second round, we have to 100%. We have to 100% take one of those guys. If we take Jamar in the first.
Nah, that's real. But Chase, I got to get to some of the other guys. Do you want to say anything before you get out?
Nah, but thank you for having me on though.
Yes, sir, brother. Who that?
All right.
All right, we're gonna bring my man AMAC in. Before I bring him in, I'm just gonna answer this real quick. My guy Quilla the Great, appreciate the $5 super chat, bro. Ace, we always talk about your prime draft. What is your idea of a disaster draft? Be realistic. What is the worst case scenario? I think being funny, I would say Slater, but Slater's actually not a bad player. I think it would be like taking Caleb Fairley or Micah Parsons in the first round. That would just, for me, it would be a disaster. Just because when I know he's got the crazy athleticism, but I saw nothing on that man's tape. Like, you guys can go back and watch the cut the tape on. I almost wanted to cut the tape off. That's how bad it was. So for me, I think the worst case scenario would be somebody like that. Or if they just pick Rondale Moore at number 5, that would just be insane. That's something that Zim had shared with me. He said he had a nightmare that they picked Rondale Moore at number 5. What's up, A-Matt? What's going on, bro?
What it do, baby? What's cracking, man?
Hey,
All day,
what's good, bro?
all day, every day, and especially on what's this today? It's a Sunday, right?
Sunday,
Yeah, that's
yes,
what I'm talking about. How you been, man? Sorry I missed out on the last couple ones, man. I got some health stuff going on. I still ain't all the way right. I don't know if I might sound funny or whatever, but
I hope you good, bro. Hope you get healthy
sure.
and everything.
I'm trying to get
man.
there. I'm trying to get there. But it's a little man in the background there. Never mind that. But anyways,
little man downstairs too. So yeah, you good.
For sure. Yeah, mom's at work, so I got the eye to Overwatch now. But anyways, so I kind of want to hit. I had a couple things I want to hit on. It's funny that the last little homie was it Chris or Chase?
Mm-hmm.
Chase, yeah, he was telling me what he was saying. Just to him and anybody who feels like him, any person who is still a fan of the Bengals is a fan of the Bengals. I'm sorry. Like, you can't these people, they've never won a playoff game in my entire I'm almost 30 years old. They've never won a playoff game. I'm sorry. Anybody who is still a fan through that is a fan. Now, what you can have a quality good fan, bad fan, whatever. To me, the difference between a good fan and a bad fan is the good fan cares about the team. Now, how they display that care, whether it's disappointment and they're spurned and they're hurt because their team is losing, you know what I mean? That might not breed the most positive person, or it could be somebody who say, look, I'm gonna take these lumps because I know the reward is that much sweeter. You know what I mean? The point is, these people just want to feel like that their time investment as fans is being taken seriously and met with a similar investment from the leadership. So when you don't see the leadership, when you see the leadership making moves that you don't feel like give them the best chance of success, meanwhile you're spending considerable amounts of resources getting jersey, buying tickets. In some cases, you got dude made a whole Mandalorian Bengals outfit. You know what I mean? The Mandalorian shout out on Twitter. You know what I mean? Like, people doing all of that and taking out all those things. Joe Goodberry, people taking like whole secondary careers, people like you making whole YouTube channels, and they're taking all this time. And if you feel that the team isn't putting forth the same amount of effort, then there's going to be a certain frustration that may show in presenting some people. But I wouldn't say that those people are bad fans or they're not fans. To me, they're just hurt fans. All right. So, but now that that's out of the way, I just had to get that out because it's in there. Anyways, this whole Chase, Sewell, Sewell. Why do I keep doing that? People keep saying Sewell. I know it's Sewell. I keep saying it wrong. But the way I feel about it, man, I'm happy. Like you said, I'm happy with whoever comes here. When you win them stripes, I'm team you all day. Whatever it is, it don't matter.
Right.
But I am a little afraid that with this Chase and Burrow marriage that seems imminent, it looks like Burrow is going to take Chase's last name, because that's what the defensive linemen are going to be doing to him behind this busted on the offensive line. It's going to be Chase Burrow. You're right. That's what it's going to be called. It's going to be called the Chase Burrow Show, man. If we don't do something to get this line straight, man, that's just something I want to throw in there on that.
That's funny.
I want to throw it in on the Civil War piece, but it is what it is. But that's what my main concern is, that they won't we've seen them be overconfident in a bad offensive line 2 years in a row now. You know what I mean? Yeah. And on top of that, I got this feeling
and that's what it's more about, man. I think that's what the team Sewell, that message is being lost. It's not that we don't know that there's linemen in the second round. We know that. Right. We just don't trust this team's evaluation of the offensive line. You literally have the same line that you had last year
boy.
You swapped out Bobby Hart, which I don't like Bobby Hart, but
And
Bobby
it took
Hart
you, to be honest,
year
it took you
had his
2
best
years too
season.
long to do that. It took you 2 years too long to do that.
Too long.
Like,
and this is the same team that after Bobby Hart gave up 10 sacks, turned around and gave him an extension. They paid him after that. And then you talk about last year, they knew the line was bad. They didn't go after a pick until the 6th round. And so for me, with them saying now, they say that they're not done. So I hope that they're going to draft a bunch of guards and hopefully they sign a guard. But you would have thought they would have at least have signed like a Austin Blythe or somebody like that.
Blythe is just
they didn't even do that.
I'm like, yo, what's going on? See, and my thing, it's another thing too. I got this funny feeling about Turner, and that, not even just not Turner, sorry, Taylor, and what he had to do with Turner. Hold on, 1 second.
No, while you're doing that, I'm gonna go ahead and answer this super chat real quick from my man Henry for $18. Appreciate that, bro. He says, if the Bengals have to trade down to 10th and get an extra high 2nd round pick, should they consider it? Should they consider it? Yes. Moving back to 10 is too far, though. I would have to move to like 8 because at 8, I still think there's a possibility that you might still be able to get Panay. Chase is probably going in that scenario. And Kyle Pitts is probably going as well, but you still got a chance of landing Panay. You move to 10, all of those guys, in my opinion, are gone by then. I don't think any of those guys will be there by then. I think if you wait at 10, I think even the Chargers will try to jump you for Panay because that's what a lot of people aren't realizing. The Chargers had the same exact issue where they took a top quarterback with Herbert. They don't have anyone protecting him either. So they're also looking for someone.
Yeah,
but go ahead, hey, Matt.
But no, what I was saying was with Taylor, like I don't know if I necessarily trust his evaluation of his guys. You know what I mean? Like I was almost confident in him, like actually being the guy who's like hold you accountable, results oriented when he benched Dalton because they wasn't winning. You know what I mean? And he was like, and I thought he was genuinely doing that. Look, all right, I need to give other people a shot. I need to try something. You ain't getting it done. We need to figure out who will and what. You know, but that gave me a little bit of confidence that he was like that. But then when we see how he was treating, like it became when it was his guys on the line, he always, oh no, they're fine, they're great. Jim Turner offensive line had one of the worst offensive line performances. Oh no, it's fine. We're going to be great. We're going to be fine.
Yeah, I remember them. I remember them distinctly blaming Burrow for a lot of sacks that were happening, and I'm like, come on.
And that was just last year. I'm talking about even a year before that because Turner was here for 2 years. You know what I mean? And he was defending him the whole time then. And it's like, dang, like I know the line ain't been lit, but man, you're supposed to come in and make it better. You ain't bringing nothing to the table to make it better. And let's not forget that, dude. You were like. Turner was like a 3rd, 4th option. You know what I mean? Then we were trying to get Bill Callahan and and
they passed on Bill Callahan last year too. They had the opportunity to get Bill Callahan last year. Like this is a team that turned down Bill Callahan, and you want me to trust them with the offensive line?
Not even turn down Bill Callahan for Jim Turner. You know what I mean? That's the thing. You got to like throw that part in there. Like, and so you mean to tell me? And this to me, that's a loyalty play. Right?
Yeah.
You hitched your wagon to this guy and he ended up getting your franchise. I ain't gonna say he directly, but it ended up in your franchise quarterback getting hurt and now maybe setting him back a year. You know what I mean? It's setting back the whole franchise that much because of those actions. And so now we sitting here and now I'm supposed to trust this same guy. Right. You know what I mean? Who had such a confidence in this Jim Turner guy, and really there was no reason for it, no reason for the confidence. Nothing in Jim Turner's history ever even gave him that shit had that much confidence. So now when you sit here, you tell me, all right, cool, but Jim Turner's gone. All right, fine, that's fine. But I think the root cause is that this head coach has too much confidence in his guys. The way they would treat the veterans who was here and they were showing results. Because they didn't line up with Anarumo. What has Anarumo done? Where has he been? Where he's been a great defensive coordinator? Where's that proof? We're going off of faith here, and I'm fine with that because at some point you're just going to have to do that in some cases. But at the same time, I'm saying here we dissing a whole bunch of veterans and telling Carl Lawson you can't play that way. You can't use all your rush moves. What? I don't understand. And so we got all this faith in these people that Taylor brought in just off the strength of them being Taylor's guys. Meanwhile, it seems like they get all the grace whenever we talk about what's going wrong with them. Oh, well, it was this, that, and the third. They did get they had a lot of injuries.
You got to remember too. They gave Frank Pollock the walking papers when he first got here.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And look where we at. So
They
like
said,
to
nah,
me,
we good. We're gonna keep Jim Turner. Nah,
yeah,
we straight.
and that's where. So to me, that's where all of this comes to. So when I see things, to me, like, and then another thing, when they keep talking about this fear-based tactics when to draft a lineman. No, that's fact-based tactics. Just like you guys are saying that, hey, it's fact that you don't have any extra receivers. I can say, oh, you just scared that our receivers ain't gonna show up. That's fear-based. What? Like, you know what I mean? Like that's goofy.
Right.
That's a whole bunch of hubbish. I know it was just for the show.
Yeah,
I know
man.
I know it's just for show. But still, it's
That,
always like
yeah.
that's a weak point. That's a weak point. Y'all can do better than that.
Like, I'm not, yeah, bro. Yeah, nah.
Well,
Like, we all saw what happened last year. We
Yeah.
all saw. I mean, we've all seen what's been happening in the last 5 years.
5
Like, the
years,
quarterbacks
since
been back there
2016.
running for their life, man.
Since 2016, man,
Since
I'm telling you, it's
2016.
been bad.
But hey,
I'm
Mac,
gonna
I gotta
get
get
out of
to
here. Yeah,
man. I gotta get to a couple other fellas that we got back there. They've been
Oh, for
being
sure,
very
man.
patient.
Who day,
So
all day,
appreciate you.
every day. Thank you for the time. I appreciate you having me on. Keep doing what you do, brother. I'm out.
All right, appreciate that, bro. My man Alonzo Ars asked for the link. He's actually backstage now. I just put the link up. I'm gonna get into my man Terrell that's been waiting patiently. What's up, Terrell?
What's up, bro?
Chilling, bro. How you doing?
Oh man, long time listener, man. Been watching for a long time, man. You know what I mean?
Appreciate it, bro. You listen to the other Cincy Jungle podcast too, right?
Yeah. I be calling in, talking to him.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I thought that was you. All right, what's up, bro?
Yeah, man. But I've been on some real though. I've been a Bengals fan. The one first game you say you been to where Corey Dillon broke the record.
Facts.
That's when I become a Bengal fan. But I've been a football fan since I've been watching Barry Sanders, man.
Barry Sanders is my favorite. See, bro, that's my favorite running back of all time. That's one of my favorite players.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
But I gotta say, for since the little the Ring of Honor, I gotta say for our generation, Chad or TJ gotta get in there, man. For our generation, man.
Easily for our generation, it gotta be Chad, TJ. There was a lot of good players back then. I think even Rudy, Corey Dillon. Like, you got, like, Rudy is super underrated, bro. Like, when you go back and look at the numbers Rudy was putting up, Rudy put up some numbers. Who else am I forgetting? Justin Smith from back then. He got to get in. Brian Simmons is another one.
I think Leon too, though. Leon Hall too, though.
Yeah, Leon Hall for sure. Oh, Leon for sure. Like, I don't know if they want to do Jonathan Joseph because of him, like, leaving after the first contract, but I'd even have to think about him too.
I think he on some real though. Back in the day, I seen him in the club back in the day though. He was iced out though, but I gotta say though, for the new breed, man. Tomorrow, I hope the jerseys turn out okay. Other than that, I see they pulling off the bad stuff of Marvin Lewis. Right. I mean, you know what I mean? They pulling off the bad vibes. They pulling off everything they can with the lazy guys and everything going on. But I like what everything going on with Zach Taylor. They love him, man. I mean, they do.
Yeah, they love Zach Taylor. They got to give him every potential chance that they want to give him. And, you know, from a certain standpoint, I understand it, right? You got to give him a chance to get his guys in.
I like it.
Yeah, he cool. He cool as long as he get his guys in and gets us the results. And I think that Steelers game, bro, for me, like, that was the turning of the tide for me, because, you know, when you beat the Steelers in Cincinnati, and it's just the way, like, you talked about Marvin Lewis, and you talked about, and I always remember, anytime, and I'm not trying to disrespect him or anything, but anytime we would come out with Marvin Lewis, whether we had a bye or not, we were never prepared to, like, punch the Steelers in the mouth, ever. We just were too timid. It was just a mental thing. It was like we were always making that game bigger than what it was. And for me, I always felt like we would always self-injure ourselves against them, and that would really be the reason why we would lose some of those games. Now, some of them, they just whooped us, but some of them we would, like, cheddar bob ourselves and, like, shoot ourselves in the foot, and then they take advantage of us being scared of them. But Zach Taylor, we saw last year, like, that's over. He brought in guys that were from different teams, and just look at the Steelers like, man, we done beat them so many times. Like, Mike Daniels was on the pod talking about that. So I like what
Right.
he's bringing here. He's bringing a lot of captains and veterans and guys from other places that they're bringing in to just change the culture. And I think that that's big. You
Right.
got to change the culture for sure.
Right. But I was gonna say real quick, man. I just like you said, it's between Chase and Sewell. Sewell, man, he just a monster. Like you said, he got that AFC North mentality.
Facts.
Like just mean street, all that. And don't get me wrong, we might have a with Chase, we might have a Peter Ward, you know what I mean?
Right.
But I just gotta say, man, it's been a long time since hearing talking to you. Like I said, though, man, finally got on talk to you, man. You doing your thing, all y'all. Like I said, man, I think we gonna be all right, man. It just but real quick though, the backup quarterback. I mean, Brian Allen cool to me. I guess he cool, man. I mean, and
yeah,
at the
Brandon
same
Allen,
time,
all right.
But I feel like if the dude from North Carolina, the one fast one there in the third round or fourth round, we might have to revisit North Carolina again. I mean,
nah, I'm with you. Like if they have a quarterback that's there and they feel like it's someone that can come in and compete and be better. I ain't gonna try to flame Ryan Finley too much because he did give us a W against the Steelers. But if they can get anybody in that's like in the event that Joe Burrow, let's just say, can't start the season and they come across a dude that's solid or something like that, I'd love to have somebody there at that position for sure.
This what I really wanted to tell you, man. Forget everything. At the end of the day, y'all better give Jesse Bates that bag.
Facts.
I don't care what y'all do. I don't care what y'all do.
Facts. Nah, they gotta give Jesse Bates the bag. It gotta be this season. Hopefully this offseason. I hope that's why they cut Gio. I hope that's the reason that they cut Gio is to give him that.
And Trey Henderson, I think he gonna be low key good, man.
Yeah,
I think
I'm
he
with
gonna
you.
be good though. But thanks, man. Appreciate it though, man.
Yeah, appreciate it, Terrell.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Before I get back into it, I got a super chat here. Chris Robinson for $5. Appreciate that, Chris. I might be wrong, but don't we have a winning season for after every jersey reveal? You might be right, because obviously the last time we revealed some jerseys, that's when it started to go right for us. But we're gonna bring my man Alonzo in. Alonzo, what's good, bro?
Hey, what's up, man?
Chilling, bro. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How about yourself?
Pretty good, man. Can't complain. I see you repping the Reds real quick.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Are you a Reds fan?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a huge baseball guy. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I don't know like the players and stuff like that. Whenever the Reds are good, I do cheer for them. But I literally know like nothing about baseball, bro. I'm not even gonna flex to you or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, I've always wore. I actually have a Cincinnati Reds like tattoo. I actually have like the actual logo. It was more so for Cincinnati, but I do have a gang of Cincinnati hats, but everybody from Cincinnati loves wearing Cincinnati hats. So I do support them when they are playing well.
Yeah, I mean, they're playing pretty well right now. They're in first place. But yeah, I'm excited about the jersey reveal tomorrow. Do you think all the leaks that we've seen, you think those are the jerseys we're getting?
Oh yeah, those are the jerseys, bro. I mean, me and Zim did a whole show on this, and like I used to also be into like Jordans and sneakers, customizing. Like I used to actually have a sneaker business, and as you know, like bootlegging in China is like really like high quality bootlegs is really major over there, and so a lot of the jerseys and just sneakers and all kind of stuff comes from over there. So what happens is they get a hold of the design and then they start making the fake ones because it's part of their economy over there. It's not illegal over there, right? But they can sell that stuff to people over here. So when they get stuff like that, that's why they were so confusing. You saw the leaked jerseys and they had AJ Green's name on it and they had Hubbard because they don't know the players, but they know what the design is. So they're not going to make a gang of jerseys based off of a design that's fake. So like when that leaked, I'm like, oh yeah, those are the jerseys to me because I know how they rock over there. They're not gonna make a gang of jerseys if
Right.
it's the fake jersey.
Yeah. So like who's first player you're gonna get for the new jerseys?
First player that I want to get actually isn't available, so I'm probably gonna get Burrow. But I really want that Jesse Bates, bro. I want that Jesse Bates bad. Like, I don't care if I have to make a custom one to put Bates in the back. I'm just gonna have to do that because I need that Jesse Bates ASAP.
Yeah, I think I want to get a T Higgins one. I got a Joe Burrow jersey already, but yeah, I think I want to get a T Higgins, and I think I want to get a defensive player too. I haven't really gotten a defensive player jersey, or probably ever. But yeah, I'm probably gonna get that. But I just before I let you go, I just got one more question. So watching the Civil War videos. I mean, I know last time I came out here, I was pulling for Panay Sewell, but I don't know, man. I'm kind of
you switching to Team Chase. It sounds like some Team Chase.
I'm not gonna say that. I'm just saying that it's like super, super close, like this close. It's like, man, it's definitely a win-win situation.
Right.
But I don't know. It's just, everybody brings up such great points, and when you think about it, and listening to Zim, I'm just like, man. I mean, he was with Joe Burrow and LSU, and that I don't know. Do you think that was a big reason why Burrow was successful?
Oh, I think no. Whoa. You said, do I think Jamar Chase was the reason Burrow was successful?
No. Do you think that because Jamar Chase was there, that Joe Burrow did so good? Or do you think, like, if Jamar Chase wasn't there, that he still would have had the season he would have had?
That's a great question. I think if Joe Burrow was still there, Joe Brady was still calling the plays, because that's a major factor too. You still got Justin Jefferson and Terrace Marshall. I don't know if he breaks the record, but he still has a great season. I still see him and that's the biggest thing for me is people always talk about chasing his production and stuff, but that was the year Joe Burrow had the best season ever. So maybe it's not Jamar Chase, right? But what if you had Devonta Smith there? I think Devonta Smith is still going to go off because he went off with Tua and he went off with Mac Jones. Or if you bring anybody else that's a top guy, say it's Jalen Waddle or somebody over there, I think that all of them together, I think it's a Joe Burrow effect. The fact that we didn't see Chase without Burrow leaves that up to, I don't know, it's a mystery. But with Terrace Marshall, who was there with Joe Burrow, then came back after Joe Burrow wasn't there and still balled out, even though he ended up finishing his season early and opting out, he still balled out. The first season that Chase was there, which nobody talks about, is he only had 300 yards, and that was when Joe Burrow first got there and started to come on at the end of the season. But it's hard for me to say that, bro, because if Jamar Chase had the same quarterback that LSU has now, and I don't know his name, but I watched him on the Terrace Marshall highlights, and he was not Joe Burrow at all whatsoever. Right. He was throwing passes at Terrace Marshall's feet, all kind of ugly stuff. I think it's more so Joe Burrow. And that's not to take anything away from Chase. I think Chase is an amazing receiver. But I think if you put any good receiver with Joe Burrow, he is just a dog, bro. And we saw it last year, even with Mike Thomas, right? And I'm not saying Mike Thomas should start. Mike Thomas had 50 receiving yards in the whole season. And as soon as he comes and plays with Joe Burrow, he's out here catching touchdowns, third down passes. And I think it's just the Joe Burrow effect for me. So maybe I'm putting too much on Joe Burrow, but I just think Joe Burrow is that kind of caliber that whoever is playing with him, he's going to magnify them to another level. And it's crazy because I was just listening to Matt Minnick's sports talk, and he had on a guy, or Chalk Talk, and he had on a guy just breaking down the receivers. This guy is not a Bengals fan or anything. And he said something interesting that I didn't know, because our fans always talk about we need receivers that can separate. Yeah. According to what this guy said, Jamar Chase isn't great at separating. And I think they slipped up. The PFF dude slipped up and said it too. He's had a lot of contested passes, and he's not a guy that separates like that. And so the guy actually even said it's almost like you're taking another shorter T. Higgins. And so when everybody says we need a guy that can separate, that's really not Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase, he compared him to Dez Bryant, where he's going to make a catch when the guy is up on him. But if you're expecting him to just separate every time, that's not what you're going to see. The other crazy thing he said was he was like the same way he wins, he loses. And so he said that when he's physical, he wins that way, but he also loses that way. And the guy said something interesting. He was like, he lost more than he won with that, and it's only going to get more at the NFL level. So I wish I would have heard that before the thing, because when I watched Jamar Chase, that wasn't something that I focused on, but this guy apparently watched his all 22 and said that. And so for me, I think it's hard for me to discount Joe Burrow, bro. Like if it was a Tua Tagovailoa situation and I'm seeing Devonta Smith do that with Tua and then go and do it with somebody else, then I can say that. But it's a weird situation to be in because we have Joe Burrow. So you don't have that question of can he play without Joe Burrow because you have Joe Burrow. But if I'm like the Dolphins at 6, right? I think that's why the Dolphins moved back, in my opinion. They got what they needed to move back because they knew that they could get Devonta Smith. They don't have to ask that question about is Chase gonna do well with Tua or not. They can move back, they can stock picks, and then they can still get Devonta Smith, who I think they got their eye on.
Yeah. So definitely, all great points. But I would say just one last thing. I would say that I would still take Penei Sewell, and you never know. You can find a really good sleeper wide receiver in the second round. And not only that, but I think T. Higgins could be
T. Higgins is a dog, bro.
I think he could be the next great wide receiver. You know, when he got drafted, they were talking about how, you know, I think he went to the same high school as Hopkins, if I remember that right correctly. But they say he tied all his records. So. You know,
you talking about Clemson? You talking about he went to Clemson, the same college? Yeah. He broke his record, if I'm not mistaken. Like he broke all, and you got to think about who came out of Clemson, bro. There was a lot of good receivers that are in the NFL now that came out of Clemson, and like you said, if I'm not mistaken, I think he broke all of their records. So T. Higgins for me he's just a dog. Like I understand some people that I feel like he was the number one last year, and I said that to Zim off the air. Like I'm like, when you go back and watch the season and you watch where he started at, because you got to remember he didn't play in the first game, he barely played in the second game. From then on, like I was doing the cut the tape on, and I started noticing them lining him up where AJ would be at. Like at first, he started off as, you know, the opposite guy, AJ. The next thing I knew, they were putting him as like that guy, and then Joe Burrow started targeting him more. So I always felt like T could be a number one. Like I get people that are like, oh, he doesn't have enough to separate. That's what they were saying about him when he came in the league, and he almost had 1,000 yards. Like if Joe Burrow plays the full season, T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd both have 1,000 yards receiving. So it really just comes down to how you want those yards to, I guess, come about. Like, do you want it to be from guys that are going to be contested? But from what I heard, it's still going to be that even with Jamar. But even with that being said, I'll still take these 3 receivers. I'm just hoping they pick the right guy in the second.
Yeah, they let's just keep our fingers crossed that they pick the right person in the second round. But I would, like I said, I think they still should do Penei Sewell because, as we said in the past, it's been too long. It's been too long, you know, ignoring the offensive line. You gotta build that. You have to build that first. You have to build that, and then from then on, like we said, T. Higgins, another year or two, he's gonna be very, very valuable because he's going to be a number one receiver. He's going to be a number one receiver.
I'm saying that he's going to be a dog again this season. I'm not scared to say it. I think T. Higgins is just – obviously, we're coming from A.J. Green. The standard is high. You talk about we're coming from Chad Johnson. The standard is high. I think there's a reason why he's wearing number 85, bro. Like, I think he's not just a guy.
Yeah, I mean, when we got A.J. Green, we're like you just said, you're like, okay, you know, the ceiling was high with Ocho, but I mean, to be honest, you know, AJ went up even probably above and beyond, you know, what Chad did. I mean, I think I know maybe he didn't break all the records, but you know, I just like I said, I think that T. Higgins could, you know, get right up there, probably even pass him. So
definitely, because like the thing too is, our memories are so like short and we don't remember. T. Higgins was about to break the rookie record, bro. Like AJ's record, like Chris Collinsworth's record. Like, you just got to remember that stuff. Like, and he didn't finish the season. Like, you got to, those are things that you have to remember. But Alonzo, I'm going to try to get to a couple other guys that we got here that have been waiting patiently. Appreciate you, bro. Anything you want to say before you get off?
I'm excited about the jersey reveal tomorrow, and who dey?
Oh, and also appreciate it, who dey, bro. And also, you guys can get the link to the jerseys. I'm going to have that. I'm going to tweet it out. So if you do want to support us, we are a Fanatics affiliate. So if you do want to cop from New Stripe City and get your jersey, I will have a link for that in the description tomorrow. I'll probably tweet it out. If you're not following me, follow me on Twitter at New Stripe City. There's already a link in the description for just the general Fanatic stuff, but I will have another one that's straight for the jerseys as well. So I'm going to get into the super chat real quick, and I'm going to bring up my man Roar Sports in a second. I got Henry Kershaw. Thank you for the $12 donation. I appreciate that, bro. He says, my only hesitation with drafting Chase is that the offense focuses too much on him, and that takes away from T. Higgins' play because he has all-pro talent. I think we're going to have these receivers work together, and I think Joe's going to have to realize that we got 3 good receivers. You're going to have to – it's a good problem to have, but how are you going to feed all 3 of those receivers and feed Joe Mixon is what they're going to have to worry about. And then you're also talking about the tight ends too. But I do think T. Higgins does have – potentially all-pro potential. He probably, if he does have that, will probably meet that in 2 or 3 years from now. But I think that's a valid concern to have for sure. So now I'm going to bring in my man Roar Sports real quick. Roar Sports Media. What's up, bro? What's up, Rory?
Not much, man. What's good?
Chilling, bro. How you doing?
I'm good. Super excited for their jerseys tomorrow, man.
Thanks.
I think I'm getting Tyler Boyd, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get the Tyler Boyd jersey like in the old, so I think I'm gonna go with the new stripes Tyler Boyd, and I'm so fucking excited. I did. Those mock-ups, I think that you're right. They probably were from like China because those were god awful, and like that's pretty normal for China stuff. So to get to the point, dude, Chad in the Ring of Honor, I think that's just for me. That's kind of the next guy up, just because like, dude, there's an entire generation of Bengals fans. That's the only reason why we're Bengals fans.
Right.
Because in the 90s, man, they were terrible. Like, no one was a Bengals fan. Then Chad Gons comes in. Then next thing you know, like, dude, he should go to the Hall of Fame just off of just the sheer amount of attention he's brought to Cincinnati. Like, you can't tell the story of the NFL without Chad Johnson, I don't think. Yeah, dude, bro, it's crazy. So it's crazy. Like the Civil War. By the way, I think Team Sewell flamed Team Chase in that last one.
Yes,
even Matt Minnick said like he thinks Devontae Smith is a better wide receiver than Jamar Chase. Which, if we're talking about separation being the most important thing in the NFL for a wide receiver, that's Devontae Smith. That's not Jamar Chase.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you. I think it's crazy because I got flamed on Twitter just for saying that it was close between the two. And I'm like, honestly, like if you're just going off of film, like you just said, separation, get off at the line, route running, route tree, IQ, like it's Devonta Smith. I hate to say it, like people don't want to hear it because, obviously Jamar Chase is amazing. But the only thing, if you notice, the only thing people say bad about Devonta Smith is his size. There's nothing else because everything else he's so good at. He's a complete receiver. We saw him win the Heisman. We saw like a lot of Bengals fans. I can't take you seriously because I remember the night of the national championship with everyone saying they wanted Devonta Smith. And what happened? Nothing happened. He was the same size that he was then. The only thing that happened is that you remembered that Jamar Chase was there. And I even remember Joe Mixon tweeting out, we might have to go and get Devonta. Devonta is a beast. And, I don't take away from either of these guys. I love the 3 top receivers, Jamar, Devonta, and Waddle. But when I watched the film, guys, I'm just saying Devonta was different. Devonta was different, bro. Like, so I was glad that Matt Minnick said that because I literally just said that it was close after watching it. Because in off film, I told Coach, I was like, bro, I think this guy is better than Jamar Chase, like on the low. And I just said that it was close, and I got flamed. My mentions were on fire for ever. And like even the guy that I was referencing in Matt Minnick that got interviewed, he said the same thing, but he was like, I don't even want to say that because he said something similar on Twitter and he got flamed for it. So yeah, Devonta Smith, bro, like I probably and here's the thing with me. This is how you know that it's not about the receiver position. even if it was down to Devonta Smith or Panay, I'm still taking Panay because Panay is what's going to, in my mind, help this offense more than a receiver in the first round. I still think you can take a receiver second, third, or whatever, but I know that the guys that are in the third, fourth aren't going to be on the same level or have the same potential as a Panay, and that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, but dude, I think that a Terrace Marshall, or I like Diami Brown coming out of North Carolina too.
Right.
In the second or in the third, man, like I think that they're gonna be there. I think someone's gonna fall to the second round that we can make the best of. Which, by the way, like I think most of the stars in the NFL wide receiver weren't drafted in the first round. Like
a lot of them weren't, man.
DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, DJ Chark. Man, Darius Slayton up in New York, he's been carrying that franchise. Dude.
From Washington.
He's
Washington
a third round. Yeah, third round.
Kenny Galladay, who we were just awing over, he was a third. Like there's a ton of guys, bro, that were like all pro receivers. Michael Thomas. Just look at the last 5 years and look at the second and third round receivers.
Almost
don't get caught up in this guy is a slot or this and that. Like if you could draft Keenan Allen right now, I don't care if you might consider him a slot. Or Jalen Waddle turns into Tyreek Hill, it's not going to matter that 2 years from now, this guy played in the slot or whatever. Like, what's going to matter is this guy is an all-pro, this guy's a pro bowler, this guy is a beast. Like, that's what's going to matter to me. Like, and that's what the bottom line is for me. You just have seen in recent years that you can get value, elite value from the wide receiver position. We just saw it last year with T. Higgins, Chase Claypool. I mean, the list goes on, bro. The list goes on.
It's insane, man. I think that you get better value wide receiver in the second round. Whereas, I mean, they're not producing many offensive linemen nowadays. Like this draft is an anomaly. This has not happened for the past 5 years. I mean, and if I'm the GM, dude, I'm taking advantage of this draft. Like, dude, if I have this big ass pool of sorry, I don't mean to cuss, but this big pool of linemen, and you're saying that this good, then I want to dip now. I want to swim in this pool of offensive linemen.
No, that's real.
Yeah, because I mean, I think that to win championships, you need good offensive line play and good defense. I mean, receivers are nice; they're great toys to have. And Tom Brady went down to Tampa because of that, but they also had like a top 5 defense, and they upped their offensive line. Tom Brady, I don't think he's as good as he was earlier, but damn it, he looked that good because he wasn't being chased around.
And you got to think about that too. They had Tristan Wirfs. Remember what they did in that draft? Mm-hmm. They traded up the spot in front of them. Literally, not 2 spots up or anything, 3 spots up, the spot right in front of them, just to make sure that they secured Tristan Wirfs. And that's what they did because they knew how important that was. Because the Bucs offensive line, before they did Wirfs and did some other changes there, it was a bad offensive line too. Like I would go back and forth with some of my friends from Tampa, like, nah, our line is worse than yours. No, our line, you never had Donovan Smith playing left tackle and this and that. And so when they did that with Wirfs, that added stability to their line. And you can't overlook that. The Browns did the same thing. The Browns line 2 years ago was trash. Like when they had OBJ and all of those same guys, line was still trash. They ended up getting the kid this year from Alabama. They ended up, I think, obviously they got Bill Callahan and they got another guard or something like that. But like you said, the game is won in the trenches. So they got to hit. I'm cool with Chase, but you got to hit on that second round guy and the third round guy. And what scares me is I know that there's a lot of linemen in this draft. Does that mean that they're good though? Because like you said, a lot of linemen have been struggling coming out of college and these spread offenses, and they're not learning all of the proper techniques that guys back in the day that came out of the pro styles were learning. And so I'm wondering if is it that the pool is big or are these guys as talented? Because it's been it's kind of been hit or miss on those offensive linemen lately.
So I think there's a lot of talent in the first 2 rounds. In the third round, I think you can get a guy that's going to contribute, but where they're saying elite linemen, they're probably going to be gone by the third round. Like those guys that day one starters, they're going to be there. Like they're going to build this offensive line and they're going to contribute from day one. Just from looking at all this stuff, I think Kendrick Green could probably come in and play a little bit, but you have to coach him up. Yeah. Well, Ace, I think that I'm going to leave you with that. I appreciate you letting me come on. I don't want to take up more of your time. I appreciate you.
Yeah, no problem. I appreciate it, man. Who dey?
Yeah, who dey, bro?
All right. So we're gonna answer the super chat, then we're gonna bring in my man Trevor, and then we're gonna wrap this thing up. Mr. Whisper for $5 says Ace is the DE prospects in this draft better than I'm hearing. Why only interest in Kerrigan, Alden Smith, and others that were out there too? I don't like this edge rush class at all. It's very pedestrian, I think is the best way to say it. So me personally, I wouldn't even, unless it's like Carlos Basham or like, you're not really going to get a quality guy that you can plug in year one that's going to get like 8 to 10 sacks. That's just all I'm going to say about that. But with that, I'm going to bring in my man Trevor real quick. Trevor, what's going on, bro?
Thanks for having me, Ace. All
Yes,
right,
sir.
so I have one question for you, and it's my theory that I think they should take a playmaker in the first round. They shouldn't take Penei Sewell, but they should take Kyle Pitts instead, if he's there, because he's a generational athlete at his position. Same way I think Jamar Chase can also be, but tight ends are way cheaper, and the Bengals hate paying players. Think about the future. They're going to need to pay a lot of guys if they ever want to be good. Why not draft a tight end instead?
No, you made a great point financially. And I think I talked about this on the last show, and I saw someone mention it in the comments. Wide receivers aren't cheap, people. Like, you're going to have to pay like $20 million potentially a year for any of these guys, especially when that contract comes up. And you can't spend $60 million on wide receivers. I mean, you just can't do that. But so I think what Trevor is saying is definitely real. And you had tight ends get upset and even try to fight for the ability to get paid like wide receivers. And essentially they just didn't get that money. And so it makes even more sense, like Trevor is saying, to get this generational guy that's 6'6", 240, I mean, 10 pounds heavier than Calvin Johnson, right, at the position that's really a wide receiver, just a bigger wide receiver, and not have to pay as much for it. I'm with you, man. I was on the Kyle Pitts train for sure. Right after Penei, the guy for me was Kyle Pitts, because you talk about the freak athleticism, 6'6". I mean, I don't think anybody in the AFC North would know how to handle that. I think they immediately would be put on notice. They wouldn't know what to do with it. And I think it's just a weapon, whether they know how to use them or not. It's not that hard to just split them out to the to the right. I just don't see how hard it is to do that. Move the guy around, put him in the slot, put him outside, line him up at tight end. Literally just throw the ball to him and just get out of the way. Like Kyle Pitts, I'm fully on the Kyle Pitts train. Unfortunately, it seems, though, that the Bengals are not. I don't know why, but I'm with you, Trevor. You raise a great point on Kyle Pitts from a financial perspective, much cheaper than Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd.
You can get the same kind of quality playmaker at tight end just with paying them a lot less. The top tight end market, they're not making $20 million right now. The top wide receivers are. They could get Travis Kelce for $6 million cheaper than they can get, Kenny Golladay theoretically in a free agent market.
And think about that.
And they're bringing, they're bringing two different styles of production, but they're still nonetheless bringing a lot of production to your offense and at a lot cheaper of, a cap hit. And if they ever want to be good, like I said to begin with, they're going to have to pay a lot of guys. They're going to have to, they have to fill a lot of holes, and eventually, Joe Burrow is going to need to get paid at some point. That's not going to be cheap, and if they want a window there, they're going to have to cut some costs, elsewhere. Something tells me Joe's not going to take a hometown discount.
Fact.
Right, no, rightfully so.
But. No, I'm with you, Trevor, for sure. Where are you from?
I'm from West Virginia. That's
what's up, bro. How did you become a Bengals fan?
My dad's been a Bengals fan his whole life, and he's taken me to games, and I got to see the comeback against Seattle in 2015 as one of the few games that I've been to in Cincinnati. So that one,
Eifert,
yeah,
bro.
it was.
Oh man, see, a lot of us we forget. People were like, "Oh, tight end does nothing for this offense." Remember what Tyler Eifert did for this offense. Just remember that. But Trevor, we appreciate you, brother. You want to leave us with a who day before you get out of here?
Who day, all day, every day, and especially on Sundays.
Hey, appreciate that, Trevor. My man Trevor just joined us. We just had a great Q&Ace, man. I truly appreciate you guys for coming through and rocking with us. Appreciate all the super chats as well. Thank you guys for supporting. Like I said, I will have links early for the new stripes. And I didn't forget you, Henry. I know you're probably thinking that I forgot you. I saw it up here, Henry Kerschel, and I hope that I'm saying your name right. $7. Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you for signing up for a membership. That means a lot as well. Over half the all-pro offensive linemen last year were top 10 draft picks in the first round. That is a great nugget to leave us with. I'm just going to make sure I didn't miss anything else. Doesn't look like I did. Thank you guys for listening to Q&Ace. And as usual, I'm going to leave you guys with a who day all day, every day, and especially on Sunday.